This video is brought to you by Columbia Games, publishers of the Hârn tabletop RPG setting. Columbia has been doing a series of Kickstarters bringing the major nation books for Hârn to hardback. This video is about the latest book in that series, which covers the Kingdom of Kanday. This video will answer the question, why should I run a game in the Kingdom of Kanday? If you want to know a little more about Hârnworld itself, check out my Hârn overview video linked in the description for this video. But in this video, I'll give you a quick overview while trying to answer that more general question, why should I run a game in the Hârnworld setting? So why should you run a game in Hârnworld? First and foremost, Hârnworld is 100% setting and no game rules. It is designed to work with just about any fantasy RPG system you care to use. It does work well with Columbia's own Harnmaster game system, but the content of the Hârnworld source materials have no coupling with the Harnmaster system. It's all lore, setting, and plot hooks. Next, Hârn has been developed over several decades now, refined and enriched with a great amount of detail. In fact, it's got to be the most detailed RPG campaign setting I've ever come across. The main part of the setting is the large island of Hârn, which is about 3 times the size of Great Britain. It contains 9 kingdoms, each of which has extensively documented history in its own sourcebook, as well as many different types of maps from economic to political. There's so much information, too, about royal and noble politics and histories, economic factors, the cultures of Hârn's many peoples, and more. In fact, I'm going to talk about many things from the new Kanday hardcover book in this video, but know that I'm only scratching the surface of what's there for you to explore. Another reason you might choose Hârn for your game is its relative realism. It's definitely a fantasy setting and contains elves, dwarves, orcs, magic, gods, and terrifying monsters, but its geology is based on real-world science, and its cultures are believable and inspired by history and sociology as well as economics. It's similar to our own medieval European history, but fantastical things also exist. So that village those orcs are attacking isn't just some random comic book town, but a real place with cultivated fields, weather patterns, human relationships and conflicts, and a fleshed out history. One more thing I'll mention that I like about Hârnworld is that it isn't dominated by famous living NPCs who tower over your player characters, who should be the heroes of your game, after all. There's no Drizzt, Elminster, or Mordenkainen here to overshadow your story. Instead, compared to most other settings I've seen, Hârn books are mostly populated with many times more regular NPCs for your characters to interact with. There's everything from royal families on down to individual shopkeepers and even farmers. And these characters are named, so you don't have to feel pressure to make up something on the spot or spend planning time on making lists of characters like this or coming up with name ideas to have ready. Now let's talk about the new Kanday book. Like the other Kingdom book hardcovers, this one actually includes several Hârn publications brought under one cover. In addition to the original Kanday sourcebook, it includes the books done for several towns within that kingdom. These are Aliath, Dairisa, Menakod, and Sarkum. If you want to run a game in Hârn, the best thing you can do is pick one of the kingdoms and then pick a town or settlement in that kingdom. Luckily, you've got all the major info for that for the Kingdom of Kanday in this new hardcover edition. So, why might you want to run a game in Kanday? One reason is its unique history. The kingdom came about as part of several developments throughout history that also affected its neighbors. The Kingdom of Retham, a possibly evil kingdom dominated by 2 evil religions, and the Republic of Tharda, a somewhat ancient Rome-like empire. Like the other Hârn source books, reading these sections really feels like you're reading the history of a true place. In your game, you might want to take on the ongoing conflict between these 3 nations. Kanday's greatest threat, for example, is that Tharda and Retham might join forces against it. There's also a religious dynamic at play between Retham and Kanday, since Kanday is home to the Order of the Checkered Shield, a group of knights who worship Lorani, the goddess of chivalry and just warfare. Retham, however, is home to the Order of the Copper Hook, a fighting order serving Agric, the god of the darker side of war, and Lorani's arch-enemy. Religion is definitely a part of everyday life, too, just like it was in our Middle Ages. Among the common folk of Kanday, worship of Peony is popular. Peony is a goddess of love, light, and agriculture. Among the nobility, however, Lorani is quite popular. You also might want to explore what's going on with the current king of Kanday, Anderson IV. He's a scholar and intellectual who some in the kingdom see as docile and vulnerable. His younger brother, Anafles, is considered by some to be the better man for the job. Some subjects worry, too, that Anderson is unmarried and childless, so there is no heir and no sign of when there might be one. There's a significant tribal presence in the lands in and around Kanday, and King Anderson I swore to always defend them, but the Republic of Tharda claims those tribal lands and raids them, sometimes even taking tribe members as slaves. Then there's the large, unexplored area of Turnu Heath, a wild place with scrubby woodland and many bogs. It's dangerous, even deadly land to travel in, but could be the source of adventure when you cook up a reason for your party to have to venture into it, which might have something to do with a fabled lost city somewhere in that heath. If these or other reasons lead you to choose Kanday as the kingdom setting for your game, the next question is which city or town to focus on, at least initially. So let's talk about those. Why might you want to set your game in Aliath? Aliath is a wealthy and sophisticated city, both economically and culturally rich. It's also Kanday's primary port city and is busy with trade and travel. If you're a Parks and Recreation fan, Aliath is kind of like Eagleton. The Loranian Order of Hevric is headquartered here, which is the sponsoring organization for the Order of the Checkered Shield. Thus, the Checkered Shield have a fairly large presence, and sometimes there's tension between its knights and local law enforcement. Now, why might you want to set your game in Dirisa? Like the rest of the towns we'll talk about from here on, Dirisa is a true medieval castle town. Maybe like Bruges. So there must be many beautiful alcoves.
You use this word, alcoves? Alcoves, yes.
Dirisa is also the seat of Kanday's king and royal house, so there's plenty of courtly intrigue to be had here. It's positioned on the road between Aliath and Coronan, the Thardic capital, so it has a steady flow of cosmopolitan traffic and potential diplomatic opportunities, as well as clashes. A lightly traveled trail called the King's Way begins in Dirisa and travels through deep and dangerous forest, rife in some places with bandits and thieves, and who knows what else. This is literally the road less traveled, since most trade in Kanday goes over river, but that's what makes it an interesting route for the PCs, for some reason, to have to take. And why might you want to set your game in Menacod? Menacod is a castle town too.
Alcoves, yes.
It's held directly by the Checkered Shield, and the town is a key defensive position in this part of Hârn. There's a secret temple beneath the castle, built in a natural grotto containing a shrine to the evil god Morgoth. Maybe in your game, it's about time that place gets cleared and sanctified. There's the Vagareth Wood, a possibly haunted place where at one time in history, enemies of Kanday were unchivalrously slaughtered. Current leadership looks on this with shame, and so the original gibbets and the skeletons of the victims have been left there as a sober and humbling reminder. Imagine having to venture into that area to recover something. And finally, there's Sarkum. Why might you want to set your game there? It's, again, a castle town.
Alcoves, yes.
It's also the seat of the king's father, the Earl of Sarkum, who has a lot of influence over the king's decisions. Some say too much. Who knows what group might come here to petition the Earl and what they might get up to? Then there's Agric's Cauldron, a treacherous strait containing many shipwrecks from crews who tried to brave it. Why might your party need to make its way through these terrible waters? In addition to all those reasons, there are all the exterior and interior maps, the many other NPCs detailed in these pages, and so many other things we don't have the time to cover in this video. Those are the major reasons I can think of that you might want to pick up the Kanday hardcover. I'm sure there are many more you might think of too, so go and check out the Kickstarter. And if you do, it really helps us out if you use the link in this video's description. And if you want to learn more about Hârn, and especially the region Kanday is in, check out my video about the Republic of Thay, linked right here in the video frame. And thank you for watching.